Okay, we're looking at an iPad here, and we've got two icons at the top. The one we're interested in is navCenter, so I'm going to tap navCenter's icon. Okay, here we have navCenter. It's displaying us a compass in the top half of the screen and a couple of information windows in the bottom half, heading magnetic and course magnetic. This is the Compass Compact, and I'm just going to swipe down to expose the edit menu, which is at the top, which will appear at the top of the screen. To do that, about 1/4 inch below the top of the screen, just swipe downwards. The menu is exposed. On the left hand side, you can see the second from the left is a square with a pencil in it, and that says edit this page description. So I'm going to tap that, the square and the pencil. And I'm going to tap the compass window itself, and that's given me a choice where I could select different views from. I'm going to tap instruments, and you can see that we have these choices here, and there's compass standard or compass compact. We're going to just stay with compass compact. So top right I tap done, and again top right I tap done. So the menu, the compass itself, has got 4 data circles, 3 of them actually displaying data. Top left, course of the ground; top right, bearing to waypoint; bottom left, the wind, apparent wind in fact. You can see the A at the bottom there, and that was bottom right. And bottom left, we've got a menu. So let's just tap the data windows and you see what happens. I'm going to tap course over the ground, top left, and that displays a breakdown of giving you much easier to see information about the boat's course and speed. We see our speed through the water is 0. I believe that we have a little problem with the transducer there. The paddle wheel is stuck or something, but we'll come back to that later. If I tap around here, nothing happens. But if I tap within the displayed pop-up window, it disappears. And the others behave the same way. I'm going to tap bearing to waypoint, tap right. There we have bearing, distance, cross-track error, much easier to see. And wind, bottom right, I tap that. As it says, wind apparent. We have 7 knots pretty much on the beam. So I tap that screen away. And we have a you also underneath, we'll see underneath the heading in the center, there's another icon. It kind of looks like it's a compass. If I tap that, it actually has moved all of the values to be displayed as true. Tap it again. Well, in fact, if we then tap the course of the ground, you can see it's showing that it is as true. And the same with bearing to waypoint. Now the bearing is showing the true value. I'll tap again, we go back to magnetic. Now I'm going to tap the menu. And here we have a choice of selecting our source. Primary is showing at the moment. We have a choice of primary and secondary. I'm going to leave that at primary, and we'll come back to that. And we'll come back to the other icons later, because there is something a little odd going on with this compass. It appears a little erratic. And when you first use the compass, it's probably wise to do the check we're now about to do. We still have our menu exposed at the top, and so I'm going to press the settings icon, which is the gear on the top right. So I'll press that now. And we see navCenter's settings screen. Looking down, about just under halfway, you'll see a section headed compass. And we're showing variation and direction of variation that we can enter ourselves, but we've in fact got the button switched on so that we will use any variation that's provided by the ship's vessel's instruments. At the bottom of the compass section there is heading primary source, and what that currently says is all. That means that any devices in your system that are putting out heading information, all of them will go all of them will be seen as a single primary compass. For a lot of people, they have one compass, and that works perfectly well. But if I tap that line there, you'll see that we are got two numbers there, 2 and 128. What that is saying is that there are two sources of heading actually appearing on this NMEA 2000 system. Okay, so I'm going to leave it as all, and we're going to tap done to get out of here, and I'm going to swipe from right to left to page to the next page. Okay, we've got an AIS display here, and it looks like this vessel, that's us in the center. We're probably proceeding in concert in a flotilla with some friends. But we're going to change this page, so I'm going to tap top left, one in from the left, in the square and pencil. I'm going to tap in the center of this view that's now displayed. I'm going to tap environment, and now I'm going to page down. And almost at the bottom we see devices. I'm going to select devices, top right, tap done, and I tap done, top right again. And this is showing us a list of all the devices on our system, or on this particular system. And you may remember that there was a source of heading from number 2, and they are source 2, manufactured by Simrad, and it says its function is heading sensors. These descriptions come from the manufacturers themselves. And the other was 128. And we see that this is a Brooks and Gatehouse, and that is also a heading sensor. So this information confirms that we have two heading sources on the system, exactly as we saw from the settings page. So if we go back to the compass by swiping from left to right, I'm going to tap the settings. Looking at compass, instead of taking all, I'm going to say I'm going to use source number 2 as the primary source of my compass information. I tap done. I say yes, I'd like to save these changes. And now our heading is a little less erratic. If I actually, what I'll do is I'm going to add a second compass. I'll tap the square and pencil. I'm going to remove one of the rows, so I tap in the lower screen, I tap remove a row. I'm going to tap on the heading view that's displayed now, and I'm going to select instruments, and I'm going to select compass compact again. Here we are, done again. Okay, we're back. We have what appear to be two identical compasses, and let's just check that. I'm going to tap the menu on the top compass. Yes, its source of information is the primary source. Tap done. Tap the bottom compass, and I'm going to change its primary to secondary. And the way that this system works is that no matter how many compasses that heading data is being presented onto the system, you can select one to be the primary source of information, the source of truth, if you like. This allows you to have a backup compass, or sometimes people will have a compass set for another purpose. But in most cases, in fact, often people aren't even aware that there are two sources of heading on their system. What actually happens is that when these instruments are actually installed either by yourself or by an engineer, a choice is made within the instrument system itself and the hardware as part of the setup as to which instrument is going to display, which instrument's values are going to be displayed on your compass settings, or or your compass displays, or your MDF displays. Actually, that's an MFD display, isn't it? And so on. But here, so what we are doing here is giving us the ability to do this at any point quite easily. Anyway, that was a lot of talking to say, for the lower compass, I tell it to look at the secondary source, which, as we know, as we selected 2 as primary and we had 2 sources, then the secondary source in this case is only one, which is the Brooks and Gatehouse compass at source 128. And we can see that they consistently different by approximately 10 degrees, which was when both of those values were heading into were being taken as all relating to the primary compass, then that's why we had our erratic heading. So to recap, check if you have multiple sources on your system and just choose one. Whichever one actually matches your system compass is almost certainly the right one for you. But you can always switch your compass, have another view looking at the secondary compass at any point. Now let's go to the menu. I'm going to tap, start with the top compass. I'm going to tap its menu button, bottom left, and I'm going to say that I don't want to see cog or waypoint, and I tap done. Now that compass, as you can see, is no longer showing those icons, but the lower compass still is. And this is because the settings of how many icons you want to have, and there will be more added over time later, such as wind, perhaps drift and set, are local to only that display. So you're able to have a complex compass setup or a very simple compass, depending on your needs at that point. If I tap the menu in the bottom left of compass, in the lower compass, and I'll just say, well, actually I'm not interested in the waypoint, but I'm interested in the course of the ground, we now see that we only have course over the ground. Pretty cool. And obviously all the other stuff, the pop-up windows, all display the same. But one last word before we talk. I think we've said this is enough. This is a good introduction to the compass. I'm just going to page to the right. I'm just going to, in fact, there we go. This is a useful, this list of devices on your system is useful. At the moment it only contains basic information. We query your system and ask the device to tell us its class and function and manufacturer. In the coming months we'll be adding more information, such as along the lines of what PGNs this particular source actually will respond to. PGNs are parameter group numbers. These are the blocks or records that contain instrument information on your system, and also each will be querying to ask them what data they actually produce. When we do this, I'll produce another video which explains how that can be very helpful. So pop back to the compass. I'm going to, well, it's actually the menu is already exposed. I'm going to tap the edit button there. I'm going to change this compass and we'll choose, let's choose a wind gauge just for fun. There we go. And as we're here, we'll just talk about the wind gauge. It's currently showing the apparent wind. If I tap the button in the bottom right hand corner, it'll cycle through the true wind and the ground wind. It's probably having quite a lot of difficulty calculating the true wind correctly because we are not getting speed through the water. So in fact the apparent wind and true wind are going to be pretty much the same. Ground wind, it's using speed over the ground, and so that figure is accurate. That's it. Great. Any questions about the compass, drop us an email. You can find the address on our website, www.guardiandigital.tech, and there's a contact us page.